Welcome back, everybody in Tampa. Thanks for tuning in. This is Jeff Stanislaw, your host, and it is time for the Let's Go Low Show right here on the Big 8, Saturday mornings, 8 a.m. Today on Caddie's Corner, we have our friend Mike Hicks, Payne Stewart's former caddy, and we have a special guest with us, Timothy Palmer from Looper Talk. So I got the new generation Looper, and I got the old school Looper with the tons of experience and 3 majors under his belt. We're going to have a great talk today about caddying and the future of caddying, talk about, other things in the PGA. So welcome, gentlemen. Mike, thanks for coming in.
Yeah, no worries, Jeff. Glad to be here.
Tim, first time on the show. Thanks for coming in and joining us.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
So I'm really excited about this conversation. And, caddying is just kind of like this lost art, I think. And one of the things Tim has been working on is trying to, bring back the lore, the mystique of, being on the bag with someone. He's over at Bandon Dunes, one of the best golf courses in the world. Mike has been on the bag for Payne Stewart and many other professionals, winning the U.S. Open and other majors. Quite the experience. Maybe we'll kick it off with you, Timothy, just talking a little bit about the modern day caddy and what you're seeing in the biz.
Yeah, I think the modern caddy to me is more or less, especially in my line of work, we tend to find ourselves more or less not really talking about the information regarding golf. We're more serving the guest. I always say the most important part of a caddy is reading the room. And so in my line of work, I deal with multiple personalities, and within those multiple personalities, I have to adapt and adjust. I always speak to fellow caddies that it's not always how well your information is, it's how well you can sell that information to your player. So your player is comfortable enough to believe you in order for them to perform that shot, because as I'm sure Mike would agree, whether you believe something's going to happen or not, if your player does not feel comfortable over the ball, it's very unlikely for that situation to occur the way we want to. So it's when I'm dealing with higher handicaps, or I'm dealing with your average golfer in my line of work, and we deal with a lot of conditions, I tend to have to be more open-minded with my information. And so I have to really learn the player pretty fast. And then I also have to make sure that what I'm saying and what I'm doing is within their capacity of performing that task. So I think in terms of the modern caddy, we tend to find ourselves almost more as a psychologist when you come to recreational golfers than it does more or less about knowing the golf game and understanding how the basics of that work. So.
Yes. Now going into Mike Hicks, this is Jeff Stanislaw. You're listening to another great episode of Let's Go Low right here on AM 820, brought to you by Golfers Unite, golfersunite.com, and Mike Hicks Golf, MikeHicksGolf.com. Mike, one of the things that Tim mentioned was, becoming a psychologist and working with different types of players and reading the player, reading the room more so. Now you did this at a professional level. Maybe you got a quick story of someone that you were on the bag with professionally that might have been a challenge for you in regards to that.
Well, they're all a challenge, and he's right. You have to adapt to that personality. But in my case, you're with a guy for longer stretches. He's one day and done, so he's got 4 hours to figure it out. Now I have a question for Tim. When you guys are assigned a bag, are you watching these guys warm up, or are you just catching the bag and going to the first tee?
Catching the bag, going to the first tee.
So there's a chance. Now, it's not a done deal, but I've been approached, and my organization has been approached to maybe coming out there and giving the caddies at Bandon Dunes some help, training them, basically. And my idea is you're going to get a better read on who you're about to caddy for if you're watching them warm up and watching, what kind of skill level you're getting ready to deal with. not only watching them warm up, but giving them a little extra love, so to speak. Like, my job as a professional caddy every day was, before when we got to the range, was to clean the grips on the club. Now, most of the people you're caddying for every day, guarantee you they've never cleaned their grips. They just wear them out and get and get new grips. But all you got to do is clean them up every now and again, and they're just as good as new. So, giving that little extra love to the guy you're getting ready to caddy for could increase your tip and give you access to what skill level you're getting ready to caddy for. Now, most of the guys you're caddying for out there, I guarantee, are not capable of a whole lot. So makes your job very tough. And I would imagine you're probably carrying 2 bags, right?
Yes, about 95% of the time.
About 95% of the time. So, and that's another pet peeve of mine. I feel like, especially if you're at a special place, everybody should have their own caddy, because you're paying all this money to play out there, and it should be an individual and a special experience. So that's a story for another day, a battle for another day. I feel like everybody should have their own caddy and no doubles. But that's, like I said, that's a story for another day. But, if we do get hired to come out there and help you guys out, that's one thing I'm going to recommend everybody do. You get assigned, you go watch your guy, warm up to see what you're getting ready to deal with, right? It'll give you a better perspective, and you can kind of game plan out, the golf course for this person, right? If you watch him warm up, and like I said, you show a little extra love, you clean up his grips, might increase the tip at the end of the day. So that's just an idea I have that I'm going to share with everybody out there if that does come to fruition.
We're talking with Tim Palmer from Looper Talk. Got a fantastic social media channel. Make sure you guys check it out. Just search up at Looper Talk on the social channels and you'll find him. And also Mike Hicks, Payne Stewart's former caddy, talking about the art of caddying right here on the Let's Go Low Show, AM 820 every Saturday morning, brought to you by Golfers Unite. Check out golfersunite.com and Mike Hicks Golf, MikeHicksGolf.com. So your response to that, Tim, just about the logistics side of things. I played Old Memorial a little while back, and it was the same thing. Basically, I got introduced on the first tee to my caddy, and it was just like nothing previously was said. You just kind of had to figure it out. I just don't. Is it just a logistic thing that that the clubs do, that they don't give you enough time to, do proper introductions and work with your guy and get them set up properly for that first tee?
I think it depends on the golf course. Unfortunately, at Bandon, we have one range that accommodates 4 courses, and we have some days we have up to 1,000 rounds a day. So these players are all over the place. We don't know when they're going to show up to the range. We don't know who they are. There's hundreds and hundreds of people flowing in and out of that range per hour. So to have caddies go find their players on the range, that's going to require it's going to be quite a bit of a logistics thing there, to have every player introduce themselves to somebody where that caddy can then meet them on the range. That would be, and we don't know how long they're going to be on the range. Some of these guys don't even go to the range. They just go straight from the pro shop. So
yeah. That's something that you could incorporate into your app too, though. Is Bandon Dunes, are they rating the caddy experience through your app yet? Are they doing that?
Yeah, why don't you tell us a little bit about the app you're working on?
Yeah, so it's called Verified Caddy Network. It's an app that ranks caddies, and it gives players and courses access to these rankings. And the rankings go by national rankings, and they go by state rankings. And the reason why I did that is I had a gentleman from TPC Scottsdale I recently interviewed, and he talked about the nepotism within the PGA Tour caddy yard, and he thought that there wasn't a direct access for caddies like myself at resorts to have a chance to be on a tour player's bag. And so I thought, well, what if we created a LinkedIn situation for caddies to where we can rank them? You see their reviews, you see who they're caddied for, the tournaments they've caddied for. It essentially gives them a resume, and then that resume can then be showcased to courses or to players in hopes that if they want to be hired or at least want to have a tryout with somebody or whatever, they can then provide their value through this app. And it's still in beta testing right now. I've got, I think, 25, 30 people testing it. I want to make sure it's really well done before I release it. But I just wanted to create some sort of access point for caddies all over the country. Now, again, not caddies, it's not mandatory, but there is some caddies that feel stuck at their golf course that they're at, feel like they can grow. They don't feel no progression really. It's just, I'm at this golf course, I've mastered it. Okay, where do I go from here? So I'm hoping this app would provide that opportunity for these guys to maybe get into some member guests at a different course, or again, some Corn Ferry guy wants to try out a different guy. He can go on this app, or lady, excuse me, and they can use this app as a way to gain that access.
Are you promoting this thing to the different clubs that do take caddies, that are walking courses?
No, I have not even gotten that far yet.
Yeah, right. Well, that's where you need to go with it, and
yep.
In my opinion, and that way you can set up exactly what I was talking about, where if they're playing at Bandon Dunes, and I'm not going to say Bandon Dune has to make you download the app, but it would be a suggestion to have the app. That way you can communicate with the person that's going to caddy for you the night before.
Yes. And
set up a time if they are going to warm up. Now granted, I understand. I mean, it does add a little bit of time to your day. I get it, because, you're showing up an hour before your tee time. But I think in the long run, the extra that, love that you give the player you're getting ready to caddy for, in the long run, it's going to be monetarily a benefit to you.
Love the concept. This is Jeff Stanislow. You're listening to another great episode of Let's Go Low right here on AM 820 every Saturday morning. This is our special edition, Caddy's Corner, with Mike Hicks, Payne Stewart's former caddy, and our special guest, Timothy Palmer from Looper Talk. Tim, that app sounds like a great idea, and we'd love to have you come back. I love the concept of bringing that matchmaking between caddies and players, and making requests and doing all that great things. We'll have you come back as your development progresses. Right now we got a couple minutes left. I kind of wanted to talk about what's the most important thing, Mike, as a professional caddy, being on the bag for Payne Stewart and several others, what's the most important maybe recommendation that you can give to Timothy as a younger caddy out at Bandon to improve his skills, or even think about from the player's perspective? How can a player help the caddy? This is a mutually exclusive arrangement that, with a common goal of playing better golf and enjoying your experience.
Well, the thing about club caddying is, 95% of the time he's dealing with two people. And most of the time, neither one of them can play. So it's a very, very difficult gig. I mean, I've seen it over and over, and I my hat's off to the guys that carry two and have to deal with two different personalities. That's tough. Our school, the school we do, we prepare the caddies for professional golf, which over qualifies you to caddy at a resort or club caddy. We go in depth with, we teach everybody how to aim point. We teach how to read TrackMan. Statistics. We have stats guy come in, shows you how to keep up with all that stuff. So we prepare the people that take our class for today's professional golf tour. Now, maybe the aim point, the rest of the stuff you ain't going to use at a club. But, if you catch a guy that can play, aim point would come in handy. But most of the people you're caddying for can't start it on the line you want them to anyway, so it doesn't matter.
So Tim, what do you got to say on that? I mean, I guess what's one of the most important things that you do on a daily basis when you're out there on a loop with now you got two guys on the bag carrying double bags. That's got to be jockeying, but we got a little bit left here. Let me know what's most important.
Staying ahead of the curve. I always have to think 3 to 4 steps ahead. And because my goal is to make sure their experience is fun. So I feel like on a professional level, you're more or less trying to get that information correct, where I'm dealing with is more or less trying to provide experience. So I'll go back to what I originally said, reading the room. I have to really understand each person and what they want. Some people don't want any information at all, and some people want every little blade of grass. And so I have to make sure that I accommodate both of those personalities, and sometimes it has to be at the same time. So I believe my focus more or less is on providing that experience. And if I do get a good player and they want to use aim point, we can do that. That's fine. But again, I have to be more equipped on not only being ready for a good player, but I also have to be equipped on providing experience and helping out the average golfer. So it really is about reading the room for me.
Fantastic. Timothy Palmer, Looper Talk, Mike Hicks Golf. This is Jeff Stanislow. Thanks for tuning in, Tampa, for another episode of Let's Go Low.